Denis Villeneuve's latest film, Dune Part 2. I really needed time to think about this movie. Since this is a review channel, let's ask the main question. Is it any good? The short answer? It's spectacular. Now for some clarification. Take that word literally. It is truly a spectacle. The visuals will completely blow you away. It's a cross between John Ford's The Searchers and Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Although the film relies heavily on CGI, it does so in the most natural of ways. Villeneuve's use of computer-generated imagery is more akin to, say, Godzilla -1 rather than, any Marvel film from Phase 4. It is merely a tool and part of a scene rather than the purpose for the scene. Truly an achievement. As an aside, this film really needs to be seen in IMAX. It's worth the extra scuttle. Not only the visual, but the sound design is enveloping. And the soundtrack, to be perfectly frank, is as much as a character as any of the actors. Which brings us neatly and precisely to that. Look, I've never really been a fan of Timothée Chalamet. He always seems frail and sickly, like he needs a couple of steaks and a fries to fill out. Maybe even a chocolate milkshake here and there. But as Paul Atreides, he really has stepped into the role. His performance is captivating. He is that Maud Daib. Rebecca Ferguson is fantastic as Lady Jessica. She is the guiding force of the film. You can also use the term manipulative here, behind Paul's ascent and realization that he is the savior of the Freeman. Josh Brolin and Javier Bardem are back as well from part 1. Although the return of Brolin's character, Gurney, is a little too much Deus Ex Machina for me. I mean, really, by all accounts, he should have died in part 1 along with Duncan Idaho. Dude, that's still the silliest name I ever heard. Maybe Frank Herbert just ran with that because he was a little too stoned, but I digress. I have to touch on Bardem's character of Stilgar. His performance in Dune captured what faith can do for and to a man. His belief in Paul is unshakable and profound. It inspires his character and is inspiring to watch. As is written is used many times, and it reinforces his belief as well as the audience belief that Paul really is the Messiah. And Bardem makes some fantastic choices with this character. There is another actor whose performance that needs to be complimented here, Austin Butler. There's no other way to put it. He dominates the screen when he is projected onto it. His character, Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen, can be described as a serpent in human form. Vicious, cold, terrifying, and mesmerizing all at once. Fantastic performance. As for the other Harkonnens, Dave Bautista and Stellan Skarsgård. I always mispronounce that. Their talents are underused, man. And I actually felt bad for Dave. His role in Dune Part 2 was reduced to a meme. Big Dave yelling and screaming. Okay, now that I've blabbed enough for what I liked, let me tell you what I didn't. Zendaya. Not so much the character of Chani, but the actor specifically. She was miscast. She is not a leading actress. She doesn't have any screen presence. She would have been better suited to the role of Shishkali. Maybe someone along the lines of Ajma Galal would have been better. Additionally, towards the end, there seemed to be two competing antagonist and protagonist duels. First between Glasul Raban and Gurney. That scene deserved way more time. This was Gurney's revenge for the death of his lord and friend, Duke Leto Atreides, and it was over way too quickly. Could have just paused on it for a moment, just let it sit, but they didn't. They moved on to the second one. This one was Paul and Feyd-Rautha. May thy blade chip and shatter. A truly satisfying, well-choreographed, and brutal battle. And a perfect segue to discuss the violence in this film. There's a lot of it. Villeneuve crept up to that PG-13 line and danced on it, which makes me wonder if he would have just went for the R rating, as nearly all the audience members in my theater were between 20-ish and 60-ish. Maybe a director's cut would allow for this. And I almost forgot, the scenes that take place on Getty Prime are spellbinding. Grieg Fraser is a brilliant cinematographer. The use of infrared to show the actors bathed in the light of Getty Prime's black sun, it's ethereal and disturbing simultaneously. I must also compliment Hans Zimmer. As I mentioned before, the soundtrack is a character. In summation, Dune is a fantastic film. It's brilliantly directed, shot, written. The editing by Joel Walker is wonderful. Look, editing is a tedious and thankless job and can truly make or break a film. Walker really needs to be recognized for his achievement with Dune, both 1 and 2. I must end on a somber note though. As the credits rolled and I reflected on what I had just watched, my mind drifted to Star Wars and how George handed Disney a wonderful storyline and film series, and they f***ing destroyed his life's work in 3 movies. Disney ruined that intellectual property, and a big part of my childhood film experiences lay burned in ashes, which begs the question, what if Villeneuve, Nolan, or hell, even Gareth Edwards were handed Star Wars and not Jar Jar Abrams or that round-headed buffoon Rian Johnson? Talentless hack idiots. Sad. Well, maybe in an alternate timeline. Dune Part 2, 9 out of 10. Mayhem out.